Shall I start?
Yes.
Good afternoon. Hello everyone. And thank you so much for joining me on Amul Live on Facebook. I'm Meher Dasondi. I'm representing Don Bosco College of Hospitality Studies. And we're celebrating Gujarat Week. I'm making a Dapka Kadhi and a Pulao. So, shall we start? Okay, a little bit before we start actually, just to familiarize you, I mean all of us are familiar, Gujarat is on the western coast of India, a beautiful state with lots of blends and spices all combined together to have a very unique and distinct taste of its own. Like I said, I'm making Dakkani curry, and the three important ingredients, one is the curd, I have besan, and then naturally I will be making the dapka. Two actually very important ingredients. The rest, everything comes into as the spices and the seasoning. I am very happy to be using Amul curd as well as Amul ghee, and let's start, shall we? Okay, so what I have done is I have 2 cups of curd. I'm going to start my flame and let my pan heat up slightly, because what I'm going to first do is temper my spices. Tempering is a technique where we actually heat the fat. In this case I'm using the Amul ghee, and I'm going to temper a little bit of some common spices that are available in our kitchens. Okay? So here I have the curd. Into this, I've got 2 cups of the Amul curd, exactly this size, as you can see. So 2 cups. And into that, I'm going to add in 2 heaped tablespoons of besan. Besan, chana flour as we know it. And I'm going to simply blend all of this together. I'm using a very traditional whisk, for want of a better word. This is also called a ravi. Okay, very traditional. Most Indian homes have it, not just Gujarati homes. Most Indian homes have it. And what it does is, it blends up whatever you're making, whether you're making a dal or you want to just blend up some kind of starch cereal powder along with curd, and it makes the entire mixture smooth. Now into this I'm going to add in about 5 cups of water. Now, the best part about adding the water is that you can adjust the consistency, okay? You add this, you've made a thin batter. The reason I made, a really nice and thin batter is because we're going to cook this. It's going to take some kind of, effort and time, so that we want the flour and the curd to nicely thicken our curry, as well as to cook up. That is very important, okay? So now if you can see, I've got it absolutely smooth and blended. I have started my gas, and the first thing that I'm going to do is heat the ghee. I'm taking a nice spoon of the ghee and I'm adding it to my pan. Whenever adding any kind of fat, please note, you must make sure that the pan is already hot. It helps in your cooking, in the correct technique of cooking. Okay, so now I'm going to check to see whether these spices are, ready, or whether the oil is ready. So all I'm doing is I'm taking a few this thing and I'm adding it in. As you can see, it's not ready as yet. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to take 1 teaspoon of ginger and chili paste. This is just like you have your, the ginger garlic paste or red chili paste ready. In Gujarati cuisine, one of the curry paste, the masala paste that are always kept in the fridge would be the ginger and the chili. This is what gives the Gujarati food its really unique, distinct taste. So I've just added that. I will add the salt later. I can feel that the oil, the ghee is now almost done, but not quite. I'm going to add a little bit of Panch Foran. I'm going to add in 1 stick of cinnamon. I'm adding the stick of cinnamon in first. I'm also adding in 1 chakri fool or badiyan as we call it. All this is to flavor, okay? And I'm going to add 2 chilies. These are known as boria chilies, used very widely in Gujarati cuisine. I'm adding that as well. Now, along with all of this, I can see that the the fat is now beginning to heat up. I can actually smell the spices in the ghee. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of Panch Foran. So Panch Foran has mustard, it has jeera, it also has a little bit of methi, and it has one very unique ingredient which I love using, and that is saunf, okay, and onion seeds. Along with this, I'm also adding some mustard seeds and a little extra dash of, so 2 ingredients extra, along with the Panch Foran, which already contains your mustard seeds as well as your jeera or cumin seeds. I have also added in a little more. Along with this, I am going to add in a small bit, just a small bit of hing. Now my spices have tempered up beautifully. I can smell the hing also activated in the ghee here. Now I'm going to gently add my batter or mixture. Wow, you can hear that sizzle. We want this to begin to boil. I'm increasing the flame a little bit right now because I want this curry to begin to boil. When I'm going to cook it, and this curry will take about 20 minutes on the whole to cook. The dapkas don't take more than 7 to 8 minutes to cook. So I'm going to let this, boil up for about 5 minutes. As it begins to boil, I will then introduce the dapkas inside it. Now, one trick that I learnt was, rather than putting the curry leaves in at the time of the tempering, add it in when you add the curry masala. Now this curry I have learnt from my grandmother-in-law. She's an excellent cook. She's the one who's taught me all the Gujarati cooking that I know of. And she says that this actually accentuates the flavor of the curry leaf rather than putting it directly into the oil and burning the flavor off as soon as it, reacts with the hot fat. So that's that. Now I'm going to start with my dapka. Now dapkas are what we know as dumplings. Okay, it comes from the word to, mold, to shape, or to immerse in a gravy. So dapka as in to put it into the gravy, and you have to shape it with your hands. You can make dapkas of different variety. You can make it just with plain besan or chana atta, or like I'm doing today. What I'm doing is I have soaked moong dal, yellow moong, the whole yellow moong. I have soaked that for about an hour, and then I've ground it up. I've ground it not very fine. It's actually a little coarse because I like texture in my food. Now to this I'm going to add in about 3 teaspoons. As you can see, my teaspoons are a little nice and heaped. 3 teaspoons of the besan. I'm going to flavor it with 1 teaspoon of the same ginger and chili paste, and very, very distinctly I'm adding sugar. I know now a lot of people think, you know, Gujarati food, and yes, it's sweet. But please note, there is a reason why Gujarati food has what I say a blend of flavors, a blend of spices. You know, right from the food being sweet, they have very distinct pronounced tastes of sweet, sour, salty. And think of the logical reasoning that there is. Gujarat is one state that has extreme temperatures, very, very high. The temperatures can go as high as 50 degrees centigrade. And therefore, it causes a lot of dehydration. In order to balance this, our forefathers came up with the thought of, let's use a blend of salt and sugar so that in the food, whilst you eat it and whatever you eat, you're constantly rehydrated. All the flavors, all the spices, all are done with the purpose of expediting digestion in the system. So there is a scientific reason behind everything that we cook, and we need to thank our forefathers who've thought of all of this. Of course, the fact that it comes up with a delicious taste, that's besides the point. Now I can see that my curry is beginning to, you know, heat up. I can see the little waves. I can see the steam that is generating. I am not going to let it boil completely. Once I know that it's beginning to steam up, I will reduce the flame. Now, coming right back to our dapkas, I've added moong dal, yellow moong dal. And coincidentally, let me also tell you, moong is something that in a lot of Gujarati homes is definitely made on a Wednesday. We're going to be making kadhi, dapka and pulao. But this curry also goes beautifully with khichdi. Okay, so I've added the moong, I've added some besan, I've added a teaspoon of ginger and chili paste, and I'm going to add just what would constitute of 1 pinch of cooking soda. Okay, just 1 pinch, nothing more than that. And I'm also going to add in some coriander, a generous hand of coriander. I'm adding in a little bit of chili powder, a little bit of turmeric powder. Now, unlike the North Indian curries, which, you know, are very distinctly sour in taste, this one also takes jaggery or sugar. Like I explained to you, everything has been thought out very beautifully with the purpose that it would benefit the digestive system completely. Okay, so I'm going to add in some of this because this is what is going to make that taste sweet and sour. Now, the curd that I have used, please note, the curd that I have used is not sour. A lot of people will tell you when you're making a curry, use sour curd. I don't like using sour curd. I was always told, let the curd be as fresh as possible because then the flavors come out a little bit more pleasant. You can see now the curry is beginning to, you know, actually beginning to boil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just reduce this flame, and I don't want it to boil. At the same time, I definitely want it to cook.
Okay, we have one question.
Yeah.
Can we use soaked chana dal instead of moong dal? This is by Nivedita.
Nivedita, yes, I think you could use a soaked chana dal. I don't see why you cannot use it. I'm just adding some salt here. You can use it. Make sure that you soak the chana dal overnight, and maybe you might need to increase the a little more than a pinch of the soda so that the lightness comes through in the batter and make it as smooth as you can. Okay, so here I've got my dal. I'm just mixing all of this together, and into this I'm going to add in 1 spoon of oil. This is also one of the home tricks that was taught to me. It's supposed to soften the dapka as you eat it and as you make it, because you want the dapkas to be formed, but you definitely want them to be nice, soft and fluffy from within. We've added the soda. That's definitely going to, you know, make it light and fluffy. But what oil does is it actually softens the dapkas and makes them really nice. Okay, so now my curry is boiling here, as you can see. In spite of the fact that I've kept it as low as I possibly can, it is boiling up. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make these dapka. So all I'm doing is taking my hand and taking a small knob of this dumpling. And yes, I'm going to let this now boil, because at this point of time, the kadhi requires boiling. Otherwise, this will simply go and disintegrate. When you add it inside, don't worry. Just add it in directly. All I'm doing is taking with my 4-5 fingers together and using my thumb, I am releasing the dapka into the curry. You noted that I had put in a little extra ghee. The ghee also helps in actually keeping the dapkas separate. I don't want it to spill out, so I'm going to just reduce the flame slightly, just slightly, and then I'm continuing to add in my dapkas. Now this batter, when you're making, supposing you have a little extra batter than what is, required or what you want to make, just keep that, fry it up and give it as a snack. You can have ready bhajiyas of moong dal, absolutely ready. So you can see the dapkas are boiling. I'm not going to touch this for at least 5 minutes because I want those dapkas to be absolutely intact. Now, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on my rice. Now, this is 2 cups of rice. The measure that I have taken is this small little stainless steel katori. I've taken 2 measures of rice and I've added in 2 measures of water. Exactly 2 measures of water, because I'm going to actually pressure cook this. All I'm going to do, and this is really the fastest pulao that I've ever seen, and trust me, it is delicious. I'm just adding, this is, 1 small capsicum that I have taken. I'm adding it in. I've got 1 carrot just cut into small dices. Into this, I'm once again going to add in some ghee. Making a pulao, you need ghee, right? I'm adding in this delicious Amul ghee, and I'm also going to add in a teaspoon of salt. That's all. That is simply all that goes into the curry. I'm just mixing all of this together.
We have a question. Can we fry the dapka separately and then add to the curry?
You can. That's normally the way the curry is done in the North Indian style of curry pakodi. Then it's not that curry dapka. When you say dapka, it means very specifically that you are going to be using the batter and cooking them directly in the curry. I'm going to add in just a little bit more of water to my rice. And I'm going to now put this to cook. I'm placing it in my pressure cooker.
Can you give a little recap of the dal part?
Yeah.
This is by Pinky.
Yeah. Dal, as in you're talking about the dapka, is that right? Okay, so all I have done is, just a second guys, I need to start my pressure cooker. Just a second. Just, I needed to get a vessel. Sorry, just a second, I needed to get the right cover so that it would go inside the cooker. And all I'm doing is putting it on, and I'm going to cook this for 2 or 3 whistles, and my pulao will be ready. That's the best part of the pulao. Now, if you look very carefully, the dumplings or the dapkas have come up and they are floating very beautifully without disintegrating in the curry. Now this I'm just going to let it cook for, you know, about 10 minutes. We'll just let this cook, and how thin or how thick you want the curry to be, you need to occasionally be stirring it, but how thick or how thin you want the curry to be depends on how you like to eat it. Okay, so
there is another question.
Yeah.
How much quantity moong dal to be soaked?
I've also taken exactly 1 katori of moong dal, and I have used, as you saw, about 3 spoons of chana powder, chana besan powder, which is just simple, not roasted or anything, just the thing. I took 1 katori of the moong dal. I soaked it for about an hour. Then I ground it in the grinder, a little bit coarse. Into that I've added 3 teaspoons of besan powder. I've added my ginger and chili paste, which also is not a paste. If you'll see, it's a little coarsely done. That's how the masala is made. It's not completely allowed to, you know, paste up. And I've added sugar. I've added lots of coriander, and I've also added a little bit of chili powder and turmeric powder into the Dapka batter, which is like a thick paste, almost like a thick bhajia batter. And then I just made those small little Dapkas and I put it in. For the first 5 minutes, I have not touched the curry after putting the Dapka inside, because I want the Dapka to form. Can you see these? They're formed perfectly. They haven't disintegrated. Now in this, what you need to keep absolutely careful is that you don't let it completely boil. You make sure that it's, you know, stirring. You see that it's not excessively hot, nor is it supposed to be cold. Because if your curry is not boiling when you add the Dapkas, what tends to happen is because it's not being fried, you know, there is a temperature shift. And when you put it inside, it just falls apart. That's so 2 ways that you stop that. A, make sure that the temperature is sort of boiling. You control the temperature by stirring it like this. And B, that you add it in and don't let it boil and don't stir it for at least 5 minutes. Now you can see the curry is, you know, it's boiling. I'm going to just taste this for salt. I did not add any salt, as you saw. Now I'm going to add it in. I wanted to see that all the spices have, you know, come through. I've added salt as much as I think is necessary. We can add a little more, we can add a little less. Now, if you think, you know, that maybe the curry is too thin, then you could also just make a small slurry of this and add it, and you'll just need to boil it a little more. So, I think it requires a little more of jaggery. So I'm going to add in a small dash of jaggery again, because like I said, I want a subtle hint of the sweetness to come through along with the curry. You saw we had the first whistle coming out from the cooker, pressure cooker. Now we're going to let the second whistle happen. Let the second whistle happen and just simply put the stove off, and our rice is cooked. That's the best part about cooking rice in the cooker. You take the same quantity of rice and you take the same quantity of water. Okay, it's the same quantity by volume, it's not by weight. Please note that. And cook it just 1-2 whistles and it's ready. Now, let's...
We have a question from Shubham.
Okay.
How do you prevent the dahi from splitting?
You just got to make sure that when you blend it first, you blend it correctly with the whisk. You don't have a ravi, just use a regular whisk. You know, these are the whisks that you might have at home. So you could use a whisk like that and control the temperature. You don't let it boil to an extent where it would split. That's the best way. Keep your attention focused on your cooking. Be happy when you're cooking. Constantly smile, and I'm sure your curry is going to come out beautiful. Now, curry is something that, you know, when we make at lunchtime, we don't just like to eat it with our pulao and our khichdi, but we also like to just simply take it and drink it up. So I've made a little extra quantity so that whilst you are eating, after we finish our meals, we're going to have enough to even drink it. Okay? Now, you know, the thing about Gujarati cuisine is that if you've seen the thali, I mean, like all Indian thalis, there is a wide spread of something that will be crispy, something that will be, there'll be masala, there'll be chutney, there'll be spices, there'll be a little bit of green salad, there'll be something that'll be crispy also on your menu, and there'll definitely be one very important thing, and that is the sweet. Now, this is a curd-based, curry, as we say. It's based on curd and besan. So you might say, okay, are we going to have a dessert that's also very much having curd? Yes, you can. You can make and serve it with shrikhand. But something that is very commonly used in the Gujarati thali is Doodpak. This is a dessert. I've already made it and kept it, as you can see. I've also kept a little bit of buttermilk ready. So, you know, this is Doodpak, just made just like a kheer, but still a little bit more liquidy. It's supposed to be Doodpak. A pak is a dessert where you actually reduce sugar, and doodh, obviously you want the consistency to be like milk. I've got the Doodpak and the chas. I've got a little bit of sweet chutney as well as the green spicy chutney, which is made with coconut, coriander, lots of green chilies. And I've got two rice preparations. One rice preparation, as you are aware, we're making the pulao, which in a second, yeah, it's ready. I shall get it out.
Another question, can we avoid using jaggery?
Yes, you can. If you don't want to use jaggery, you could use sugar. Like I said, in Gujarati food, the flavors that actually play up are a blend of sweet, sour, spicy, salty, all of that together. So you would need to put in something sweet, according to me. Or if you don't want to put sweet, then yes, you make your own version, as I say, and avoid the sweetness. But you know, that's what actually forms the distinctive taste, the jaggery and the sugar, which forms a really distinctive taste. Now you can see the rice is ready. It's a very simple vegetable pulao, literally like white rice, salt and the green of the vegetables. Now I'm going to take this and I'm just simply going to spoon it onto my thali. Now if you remember, I did say we Gujaratis, we love to eat it with pulao, but we also eat it with Moong Dal Khichdi. So here I've made some khichdi. This is just Moong Dal and rice cooked together with salt, and like in all Gujarati homes, you would get the ghee poured over. Yeah, I am sure there are people who are sighing and thinking, but you know, that's what Gujarati food is all about. Richness in taste, texture, all of that coming together. Now, the curry is also ready. So all I'm going to do is pick up the curry and I'm going to put it in my dish, take the dapka, and there's my thali. One last, I'm just going to garnish with some coriander, and yes, my dapkani curry with my pulao, Doodpak, Khichdi. Khichdi, the proportion that I have used is 3 parts of dal and 1 part of rice. Moong dal again for a delicious spread. In my opinion, ready and fit for anyone who loves eating. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Any other questions? Please feel free to ask me.
Can we do a summary?
Yes, we can do a summary. So what I did was, I first blended the 2 cups of curd with 2 tablespoons of besan. Into that I have added in 5 cups of water. I have blended all of that and kept it. Then I tempered my spices in the pan, and in the tempering I've used panch foran, and I've used a little extra bit of mustard seeds and cumin seeds, along with a small, little bigger than a pinch of asafoetida or hing. Into that I've added this blended curd and besan mixture. I've let it come up to a boil. Only after it came up to a boil did I add in the dapkas. What I did for the dapkas was that I took moong dal, I had soaked it, blended it, added in again a little bit of besan into the food. Please remember, all food is made with what is available locally. So besan, something that is available throughout the year and very easy to source in a dry arid state like Gujarat. You know, parts of the place are extremely hot and arid. So always curd would be there, and besan also. Mixed that batter along with a little bit of ginger and chili paste and salt, a pinch of soda, and in the dapka batter I also added in a little bit of chili powder and turmeric. Then I just mixed all of that together with a pinch of soda bicarb, and I made small roundels or dapkas as we call them, and immersed it directly into the curry. Cooked it for 20 minutes. Curry is ready. I tasted it to see that the salt, the sweet level, and you know, it's a very, very subtle blend of flavors, like I say, with all the spices shining through. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you Amul. Thank you everyone who has come in. Be safe, guys. And don't forget, last but not the least, please remember, switch your gas off and also switch the mains of your gas once you finish cooking. Very, very important. Bye guys. See you. Thank you.